Brendan Rockers. Ant-Man and the Wasp, starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, I'd guess, well, we may as well say Lawrence Fishburne to a degree. Kudos to you for finding a way to get both the DCEU and the Marvel money, or at least a good backup plan in case DCEU falls completely flat on its ass if it hasn't already. Well, financially it kind of has, but, you know, it's not stopping now. They're already so far into it at this moment. And, not that I haven't somewhat enjoyed some of the ride with that. I mean, Wonder Woman, we all enjoyed that, and that film's fine on its own. Pretty much. But anyway, with this would be following up Ant-Man and that of the events of Captain America: Civil War. Paul character Scott Lang has been, well, put under house arrest as a part of a deal to basically not keep himself in contact with any one of his friends, including Hank Pym and them, which now, because of the whole Sokovia Accords thing that happened from that. And so he's coming close to basically the end of his parole thing, that once he finished this parole, if not, he'd wind up having to serve 20-something years in jail. So he's trying to find it. So for the most part, the film kind of does come off a little cat and mouse between him and the FBI agent that's, you know, his handler. Or kind of, I guess, his probation officer, kind of, sort of. Which those parts of the film are fun in and of itself. And the guy who plays him is the dude who wound up playing... trying to remember. Most people know of him as trying to portray Kim Jong-un from The Interview. So that's the actor who plays his FBI agent, and I think he's in some show. Don't know if that's sort of Asian derivative kind of, or Asian American derivative type of thing. If I don't, ABC, I don't remember the name of the show, to be honest, but I know my folks had watched it briefly, I guess. It's okay. Anyway. And of course, you know, Michael Douglas, there we go. Why did I blank on Michael Douglas? Who plays Hank Pym. And he's still kind of an ass here, you know, and you kind of get an idea of it, especially when him and Lawrence Fishburne's character finally meet each other at some point in the film, and there is a twist I'm going to get to later with that. That makes absolute sense, honestly. You don't even have to think much about it, but when they explain it, give you some exposition, it's kind of cool, but it does kind of cause some certain MCU loopholes that we'll get into later, or we'll try to. For the most part, and the Ghost character, which kind of comes out of nowhere, but still kind of welcomed after, you know, finally getting to see Evangeline Lilly's character of Hope finally don the Wasp thing for the first time, and just like they showed from scenes within the trailers, it's about as good as you got out of the trailers, but even, and the stuff you might not have seen in there is still pretty good, that you miss are still pretty good too. And in turn, we find out a little more on the Ghost character, and to the point where you kind of sympathize for her, and she's not a clear villain. She's really more, or at least by the end of it, she doesn't really wind up being considered that. For the most part, the actress Evangeline Lilly, who plays Hope/Wasp, she states that there isn't really a villain so much as it's more opponents or obstacles, and most of these certain particular individuals just serve as obstacles to keep them from getting to the MacGuffin, which is of course the main plot, and that's them trying to save save Hope's mom, Hank Pym's wife, after discovering through the first film and the actions of what had happened near the end of that with Ant-Man, and him having been stuck in the quantum realm, and him using the growth ray or some growth thing or something to help him grow himself back up out of the quantum realm and back to Earth and stuff, instead of being stuck completely subatomic like what happened with the original Wasp, with Janet or whatever. Which we do get a chance to finally see the way they did the aging thing with Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer, and they did pretty good there. And you get only brief aspects of Michelle Pfeiffer's character in this film, and just going off of what you'd kind of know expositionally from her from Ant-Man itself. And that's about it, all you've got. And of course the consequences of how they feel towards Scott Lang for what he had done in Civil War, and how it kind of also screwed them over, and they had to go underground too. And so the whole thing is them trying to figure out a way to basically save their mother from the quantum realm, while Ghost, who apparently was affected by the whole thing from the quantum realm itself, to where she now is like, just her body's destroyed from the inside out through is disintegrated and reconstructed from a molecular level, which allows her to basically phase, since Ghost, and through walls, hence the ghosting and stuff. Not necessarily like astral projection, but but you get the idea. Yeah, if you've seen the trailers, you obviously know that. And turns out that character was, there was more to her than what you've kind of got out of it, or at least what the exposition dump in the trailer gave you on her being a more stereotypical type of villain, when she really wasn't that much of anything of an actual villain either. Like, you've sympathized for her, and she's just kind of more anti-hero opponent, as Evangeline Lilly would put it in that interview she said while promoting this. And yeah, it's, as far as I can say, and I enjoyed the comedy. It's comes off more comedy, with some nice little action scenes from the shrinking and growing aspects, and how they handled those choreography in that regard was pretty well done. The effects were done pretty well in that, or at least just as well, if not better, than what we got out of Ant-Man, and maybe even Captain America: Civil War in that regard, with Ant-Man in that one. And overall, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it's definitely not up there film of the year. If anything, I'm willing to give this a thumbs up. And now this is the point where, hats off, we're doing the spoilers. What little there is. Okay. So, in case, as part of the thing, I didn't mind the Michael Pena thing. It's the truth serum thing is where the funniest thing is, really the exposition dump that's kind of from the first film type of film kind of thing, and they kind of do it here, and that whole truth serum gag, it was the funniest part of the movie as far as I was concerned. There were some other cool parts. I've also forgot to mention in the non-spoiler the dynamics between, that I probably should mention anyway, and now, which will be the dynamic between Scott Lang and his daughter is great. The wife and the stepfather, or the guy that's with his ex-wife, right? With Lane's ex-wife, they're actually better characters than they were before, and they're not, they're clearly not obstacles in that same sense, I guess, that they might have come across in the first film. They were kind of surprisingly nicer in that one, but nobody really talks about that. And they just kind of treat the FBI agents like pieces, like they're being, or the SHIELD agents, of anything, as pieces of shit. And it's kind of what happens with that. I'm already going to tell you this that I could have told you earlier. As far as post-credit scenes go, the second one, the very end one, is just a joke thing, and you already seen it in the trailers. It's the stupid ant drumming. Some of y'all might find it cute, but whatever. The second thing is the follow-up from after what happened. We now know that Ghost and even Lawrence Fishburne's character, which we find out that Ghost was basically having this issue from her phasing, and Foster was trying to help her out, and him and who is essentially Goliath, and the Bill. Well, at least I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Even though I think I'm saying an actor's name, but he was trying to help her, and he's actually the one that's keeping her in check, because she was willing to go as far as to try to threaten Lane with her daughter. And I love that he's the one that's become a voice of reason for her, and what's keeping Ghost in check, because she would have went that far and did that, and try to tell her to do another way, and she decides to do another way instead. And I do like how they handle that, I guess. Basically proving that through him, that is the one thing that keeps her grounded and keeps her from basically going full-on villain for a while, even though she does wind up having her near full-on villain moment near the end, where she finally decides to do the thing with her chamber that's trying to keep her stable, keep her own body stable before she just completely disintegrates, because she can't keep herself this stable anymore, and plus it causes her pain. So you understand where she's coming from and why because she's been like this since she was a kid. But that was more so her kind of being that she was a naive kid, and her own dang fault. She never listened to her damn parents when she should have, especially when you're dealing with stuff like that. Eesh. And it wound up killing her parents and causing her issue. And, and Foster's character, who being an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time, had brought her in to help her, and then they just used her as a weapon. And hence why she's able to do the stuff she is as Ghost. And plus, both of them have a thing against Pym, I guess. Well, more so... Well, yes, more so Pym, because him and his father, they were both fired or something. Well, Hank was kind of a dick. And he still kind of is, and the only thing that keeps him in check is his daughter. If not for his daughter, it was his wife as well. That was the only thing that kept him in check. And you see that kind of animosity between those two characters when they first meet, and that was cool. Lawrence Fishburne's being introduced in the MCU as a character that's actually fucking useful here. And hopefully might be useful even more so in the future, possibly for Avengers 4, but because we don't see what happens to him and Ghost in the post-credit scenes. Or his daughter, or the ex-wife and that boyfriend or husband or whatever. So we know those characters are probably safe, as far as we know, from Thanos' dusting, Thanos' snap, that wiped out half the universe. And what happens in this is that which means, unfortunately, that those that did was Hank, Janet, and Hope, aka Wasp. And Ant-Man is now stuck in the quantum realm. Though the thing is, we don't know, given those who do know Captain Marvel's background, given that's from and this is kind of sort of around the same time frame as what had happened with what happened with those events, Infinity War, and nearly at that exact same time, Captain Marvel's been called upon from her pager, and we now basically through this post-credit scene and what had already happened in Infinity War, we have enough to basically give us that Captain Marvel is the go-to thing we need to see. So I'm looking for, as far as and they've kind of mentioned something about these healing elements from the quantum realm and something of time vortex, which could lead to him somehow if he does get out of it, maybe he won't be in present day. He might somehow wind up, I guess, maybe in Captain Marvel. We won't know unless we see a trailer for the Captain Marvel movie. We don't know, because this is a big thing, and it's going to be, I think, possibly Brie Larson's biggest break, since some of the other films she's been involved in haven't really been as fruitful in that regard. But this, or at least it's a bigger break, because she's playing the first big, well, not necessarily, Evangeline Lilly wound up being this film the first big female lead, superhero lead, even as far as the MCU is concerned, since Wonder Woman already kind of established that very well, and hopefully Captain Marvel can take this to a whole nother level than what we already got out of Wonder Woman. So, and I'm not entirely sure how things are going to go with that. We know that at least with Captain Marvel's character has some quantum-based powers, so there's a possibility she might play a part in that. We don't know exact details and where it's going to all tie in with that, her and Ant-Man, and then into the Fourth Avengers, which will possibly, I'm hearing, is called Endgame. Going to be titled Endgame. I'm not sure if that's still the case. But, I mean, overall, I did enjoy this film, as I had said, having given it a thumbs up. And I'm also wondering and curious, what are your thoughts on the film itself? And the Wasp, did you like it? Did you feel it was a nice little relief that it needed to be with, after what we already had between Black Panther and Infinity War, in terms of just that level of intensity, you know, or at least the kind of dark intensity we got out of Infinity War more specifically, but still kind of brought that back in with the post-credit scene, because it was really, it kind of played by numbers in a degree and gave you a happier ending, and up until that post-credit scene, and that's, but yeah, overall, what did you guys think of the movie? Leave a comment below, let me know. Rock that like button on this video for Thrust You Must. Also check out my Facebook page, and hopefully follow and like that as well. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I don't know why I did thumbs up. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, y'all.